Hey, 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 what's up, everybody in the world? Everybody in the world. It's the Ace Michael Show, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Bring me another helping of that. Anyway, today we're going to talk about some things that we don't normally talk about on this show because I presume that everybody that listens to my show is financially successful, wealthy, and affluent. So we don't usually talk about money. But today we must. We must talk about money because money is like a whole different language. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mean like that you can't look at a dollar bill and understand what it means. It's not that kind of language. But it's a different language in the sense that the way money moves around us, like some of us have no idea. I'm one of those son of us, like no idea. When they talk about terms like IRA and other, three-letter terms that I can't think of right now, it all means money. I know that, but I don't know what it means. Does that make sense? Let me repeat that for the people in the back. It all means money, but I don't know what it means. Let that sink in as you drive home. Today on my show, I have a professional to talk to, and I'm going to grill this muffa. Man, I'm going to ask this dude so many questions. Watch. Watch. I'm going to get to the bottom of why money is so confusing in our society, in our world. What does it mean? What are we doing? I don't even know. Welcome to the show for the first time. My guest, Jalen Boone, is in the house. Jalen, welcome to the Ace Michael Show, baby.
Thank you, Ace. Thank you, Ace. I appreciate you for inviting me today. Very excited.
Muy, absolutely. All right, man. I'm not going to give you any breather time because we don't got no breather time. I want to know what's up with money. Why don't we understand money, Jalen? Well, let's do. Wait. Hold that thought. Let's do credentials.
Mhm.
Who are you? So my listeners know why you're the man to talk to about this.
Great, great. And I appreciate the introduction. So, just to formally introduce myself, my name is Jalen Boone. I work for a company called Four Corners Financial Advisors. We're located here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And basically, we really do everything under the financial sun. So, we're licensed fiduciaries. So, that means we're legally obligated to act in the best interest of our clients. Less than 10% of financial advisors are fiduciaries. So, we hold that close to the hearts over here. And basically, we do everything from retirement planning to helping out with the workplace benefits, like most folks have, like a 401k, 403b, different things like that. And basically, we're the comprehensive financial advisors slash planners. We can act in both capacities. And, you know, every day we come into our job looking to help somebody in some way. And I have a passion for this. So, I'm really excited to get talking about some things around that. So,
Now, Jalen, I'm going to be 100. Okay. Can I be
mhm.
one? Can I be 100?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to be 100, man. 90, 70.5% of what you said made absolutely no sense. You said fiduciary. I presume that that means that you are responsible to help people make investments with their money. But this is exactly what I mean. Like, you might as well be talking Star Wars to someone who's interested in Star Trek. Like, why is it so confusing about our money when we need our money to do everything? Like, every decision we make is money driven, period. I don't care what a person says. Everything they do in our society, would you agree, it has to do with a price tag. Everything. We buy a house, we buy a car, we go to school, we buy clothes, we buy drink. Everything is about how much does it cost. But yet we don't understand how money works.
Yeah, I mean, money is really the root to everything. So basically, I know I said a fiduciary, so that's basically just the highest standard of a financial advisor. So we're
Okay.
legally obligated to, act in the best interest of our clients. So we have to be put our best interest for our clients ahead of ours. And basically, with money, there's money in everything that you see. So it could be retirement savings, like what a lot of W-2 employees have, like a 401k. There's money in taxes. I know everybody hates paying taxes. I know Uncle Sam is always right there watching your pockets. So there's even money in that. There's money in everything today. And what we do to really help a lot of our clients is educate you first. So we have a lot of complimentary meetings just to educate you around all the benefits that you do have, whether if it's a workplace benefit, if you have your own outside investments that you just randomly just started picking and choosing yourself, or even if it's around, um, even trust and wills, like setting up estate planning for your kids, family, beneficiaries, different things like that. So there's really money everywhere in the world, and we really just find the best options for a lot of our clients. So we do all the hard work for you, put that GPS in your back pocket, and show you all your different routes and just educate you what's best for you and what's out there for you. So
So let me ask you a question, Jalen. I'm going to ask you many, but this will be the first one. So, how did we get here? How did we get so detached from the main thing that we need in order to survive in a society like this? Like, obviously, we need water, right? But we
Mhm.
understand water a lot better than we understand money. Like, we understand how water works, what to use water for. We understand the difference between hot water and cold water, right? We may not
Mhm.
understand the difference between spring water and mineral water or some of those other waters. But the point is, we do have a better grip on water, which we need to survive, than we do on money, which we need to survive. So what is the problem that you encounter with most people not understanding their money? Like, there's got to be a common ground for all of us.
Yeah, and there's a lot of common ground. So one common ground is that, when people work in the workplace, say if you work for a corporation, they have retirement savings called a 401k. For public entities or even for private entities called a 403b. Essentially the same thing. So basically you put money into your retirement vehicle, which is the 401k, and then people often just set it up and don't even look at it. They just put how much of their salary they want to put into it, and they just let it ride in that default fund. So, and a lot of people, whenever I talk to people, they're like, "So tell me, what do you know, or how do you best utilize this retirement savings vehicle?" And they're just like, "I don't know. I just put money into it. And I just let it do its thing." And I'm
Right.
just like,
Right. I
so
just filled out the box that came when my employer handed me the form. And I guess it's taken out. Well, okay, so that brings up a good question because I had one of those at a job that I did, corporate job. So what happens with the 401k when you quit the job? Do you get that money back?
yeah, that's a great question. So usually within the 401k, there's certain limitations. So if you have under a certain threshold, they really just say, "Hey, we can't really just hold this money here." They'll probably just say, "Hey, do you want to, distribute this money? What you're going to get hit with a big, tax liability." Or if it's above the threshold, well, basically it just sits there and still grows. So basically within the 401k, it's tied to the market. So your money's invested in the market, and
Hmm.
essentially whenever you do leave a job and after you're past that threshold, you have the option of rolling it into a new 401k at your new employer, or you could take the distribution and get it hit with a big tax liability, because really that money's locked up until you're 59 and a half years old. So, or you could even just roll it over into a personal IRA, so a personal retirement account as well, which you just roll it over and it's into your name, and you can pick and choose your own investments and let it grow on your own. So it's really a lot of options.
So this is where my ignorance will show. So you're saying, and again, my ignorance being the main point of the sentence. So the way I understand it is the company's taking money out of your paycheck every time you get paid. They're taking a little bit, a little bite, not a big bite, but a little bite, right? Then that little bite is going into a fund that you get to say when you retire, I'd like to use this to buy myself a nice little villa in the south of France, right? You can do that. But if you get fired or you quit that job, then you could take that little bit, those little bites, and you could put it into a different 401k with a different company. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, mhm.
Now here comes the dumb question. Now, since this is essentially your own money, why can't you take it out and do whatever you want with it? Because they took the money out of your account, right? So it's your money that you earned, right?
Mhm.
And what if you
Yeah.
die? I mean, what if I put money in a 401k for 20 years and in that 21st year I die? Then what happens to that money? I never even got to retire. I just died.
Yeah. That's a great question. So basically within the 401k, you get the option to choose if you want to even invest into the 401k or not. A lot of people could do a 401k or they even get a pension from their jobs. But when you do invest in the 401k, you get to elect how much of your salary you do want to put into it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do it up to a certain percentage, then your company gives you free money basically. So they match to the extent that how much money you put into it. So basically, you put your money into it as well as some of your employer's money into it, and then it grows. And by the time you want to just pull it out, well, realistically, you have to wait until you're 59 and a half to really use the funds. But you can pull it out really at any time. You're just gonna lose a lot of money in taxes. But in the event of a passing, well, it just determines of how you set it up and the terms and conditions because ultimately you could have set it up within a trust or a will. So you already have beneficiaries on the 401k essentially because whatever your assets do, or however you set up your trust or your will, then it could get distributed however you like, see fit. So, and that's only one of the options. There's a lot of different options. I don't want to bore everybody out there, but that's just kind of how a broad idea of how it would go.
I got you. So, what do you think on a scale of 1 to 1? What is the most important thing the average person should know about investing their money, how to make their money grow? Because I'm sure that no matter who we are, we'd like to have more money, right? And the only
Mhm.
way to really get more money, I mean, you can earn so much money, but it seems like the people who have the most money, they didn't necessarily earn it. Now, what I mean by that is not that they didn't do something legitimate to get the money, but the thing that I see, and this is again, this is why you're on the show, you might correct me on this. What I see is that an individual gets to a certain point, like let's say they start a business, they start a cookie business, and the cookie business takes off, and they get to the point where they're making so much money with the cookie business that then they can invest in some real estate or they can buy another business. Now they manage to double or maybe even quadruple the money that they were making, and then that's the cycle. And so my layman's understanding of it is we're all trying to get to that point where we finally have enough money to be able to double and triple it. And then that's where we get to the point where people end up being so wealthy because they've got revenue streams coming in. It sounds like I'm a professional, but I'm not, guys. I don't know what I'm talking. I'm literally spitballing right now. Jalen, correct me on this so I don't make a fool out of myself.
Yeah. So just to backtrack, so is the question like, what is like the number one thing that people should really do when they start to invest and when they start to have extra money just to invest? Is
You
that
are
the
correct, sir.
okay? Well, the number one rule I would say with investing is just educate yourself first. So probably consult with a professional because I know a lot of people utilize AI or even these social media guys that are, half the time they're not even licensed. So once people come with a lot of money, because a lot of people can even inherit money from something that happened in their family, different things like that. And a lot of people really don't know what to do with a lot of money. So really what our job is just to show you all your options. So I would say consult with somebody, a professional or a fiduciary, just so you can see all your options and weigh all your options before you start to honestly go down your own avenue and, you know, think what you think is the best because you can honestly have the best idea, but ultimately you don't really know if it is the best idea or not. But at the end of the day, when you are investing, you have to be careful just because you don't want to throw all your eggs in one basket and then ultimately lose it all. So,
Yeah, I can dig that. So, if a person is a minimum wage employee and they don't have a lot of money, can they still use your service? Like, it seems like it's tailored more towards somebody who's already got some money to invest. And then my second question to that would be, what do you consider is a good amount of money to start investing? $10,000, $1,000, $50,000? Like, where would you say a person is to be able to have enough money to even take this seriously that they can start investing money?
mhm, that's a great question. So, we really work with anybody because we want to help as many people as we can. Just because we can help somebody with that's super wealthy, but we also help people that are not as wealthy as somebody that is super wealthy. So really anybody can really engage in our services. We help with debt, we help with even planning for families, we help with anything that from a financial standpoint. So we really don't distinguish like, oh, just because you don't have enough money that we can't work with you. No, you could have honestly $0 if you really just wanted our help and just how to get everything going. We could help you build a foundation so we can get all the oars in your boat rowing in the right direction. And as far as investing, I think really the hidden gem is that I think everybody invests. Anybody with a W-2, anybody with a 401k, anything like that, you're already investing right then and there. So I feel like with any amount of money that you do have, whether it's an extra $50 a month, just throw it into a brokerage, or if it's an extra couple dollars a month, I feel like any starting point is just the best, just to get the gears going, just because you want to just at least put something in it instead of just thinking about it, procrastinating, and then waiting until it's too late, and then now you could have been double, even triple what you had now if you would have just put just a little something into it. So.
Huh. And so you're a money guy, so I would presume that you're going to lean towards everybody should invest, right?
I would say invest because it is one of the best things to do just because everything is in the world today, everything grows, nothing just stays stagnant. So I feel like investing is great, but ultimately it's really your decision if you want to invest. There's so many ways you can invest, like you said previously. You can invest in real estate, you can invest in stocks, you can invest in commodities, you can invest in oil. Like, it really doesn't matter. You can invest in really anything today.
So in this world that we live in now, is it even possible to make $1 million off of just your job income? It seems like you have to be willing to do the market or invest in something else to really get substantial wealth. Like you're not going to get it from the hourly job, right?
Yeah, it really just depends because a lot of companies could be big companies, like for example, AI. Nvidia. A lot of people at Nvidia, they have a good salary and they also get good benefits within their stock options that they do get because over the past years, their stock options have boomed and then they became overnight millionaires. So it really just depends. Um, I feel like as far as investing, what we do, we help with investing. That's what a lot of people think about the financial advisors, like, oh, you just deal with stocks and grow your money. Yeah, we can act in that capacity, but at the end of the day, we're planners. We want to help you with your goals. So we're goal based. We want to help you achieve your goals so you don't think it's out of reach. We
Hmm.
really turn dreams into reality. So we could invest or we could show you some ways on how we could plan accordingly with what you do have that's not even investing, just so we could build a roadmap for you, just so we got everything going in the right direction. So we really want to tie in helping our clients with their goals, so set and so forth, instead of like mainly investing. Yeah, we could do investments because that's really what we do, but we really want to tie in everything else just so we have the whole piece of the pie and make sure we got everything going in the right direction. So
So give me a sort of a roadmap for the average Joe American. So they're working a job, they're making the average Joe American wage, and they
Mhm.
come to you and they say, "Hey, you know what? I own a modest home that I'm paying on, and we got modest car, modest kids." Modest breakfast, everything's just modest, pretty much regular. But what I really want to do is I want to get on that level of billionaire status. So, what do I need to start doing on a regular basis with this modest money to start turning it into big money?
yeah, that's a great question. So first and foremost, the first step is just save. Figure out your cash flow, figure out what's the needs and what's the wants, and really cut out a lot of the wants in the short term, just so we can build what we need to do to
Mm.
get the basically like a snowball going. And then eventually, once you have some extra funds, then we could start putting things into different assets so we could ultimately have a passive way of growing the money. And then eventually, after you give it some time, because when you are investing, time is key when you are investing. So after you give it time, after you trust somebody with, you know, all the research, and after consulting with somebody, then after that part's, after you really get a game plan going, we just have to track the progress and just make sure everything is still going according to plan. And then after we get the planning part going and get everything going in the right direction, and ultimately time will tell, and then we could just help you expand your money twice as fast or even three times as fast, just so we could get to that higher status of net worth as quickly as we can.
And here's something I think you're going to give me the answer that I hope you're going to say that you never get too old, is what I'm hoping you're going to say, because there's a lot of us, myself is number one in that, that years ago didn't start investing for thinking that, well, that's something I'll do when I get in my middle, when I get to my quarter of a almost done age, when I get to the almost barely, 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 barely done age, then I'll start investing, right? So I hope that you're going to say that you never are too old to get involved in the management of your money.
Correct. And it's never you're never too old. You could be 80 years old and you want to be like, hey, what can I do with my money to grow it? There's still options for you regardless, even if it's investing in a stock market, even if it's showing you some ways in how some other investment vehicles that aren't directly tied to stocks but still grows your money. There's so many different options out there that a lot of people aren't aware of. So and ultimately you're never too old to really get in the game of investing and growing your money.
Hmm. What's the best investment in your opinion for the average Joe American? Would you say, hey, the best, easiest, smartest thing is invest in stocks or invest in real estate I mean, where would you point the direction of a person? I know every individual's different, but average Joe American, where would you point me?
Yeah, so I really can't make a recommendation because that goes against my fiduciary status. But
Okay.
what I can
Okay.
say is your risk tolerance and based on what you want to achieve and how you like to invest, it really just depends on that. So basically, we would just see your risk tolerance, how comfortable are you with risk, whether if you want to be super risky or more conservative, show
Hmm.
you some of your options within investing, and then ultimately we could decide from there what best fits for you, essentially, because everybody's needs is different than your coworker's needs right to the next to you is different from what you want and the person next to you. So it really just depends.
Got you. Got you. And so, no matter what, your job is to help a person navigate through this. Like, you're not gonna give them like mama's advice, like, I said you should do this. You're not telling them how to do it. You're giving them advice and they can choose whichever advice they want and however they want to do it, right?
Yeah, so we would basically show you all your options and what we think will be best fit for you. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your money. So you get to decide what you want to do with it. But ultimately, like like our statuses are, we want to put your best interest ahead of ours. So we really crunch the numbers and really map it out for you and educate you along the way. So we're never going to just be like, hey, this is what you should do and then call it a day. No, we're going to educate you on every single thing that we do present to you and ultimately seek what's best fit. And at the end of the day, our clients get to decide if they really want to move forward. But it's really, their decision because it's their money at the end of the day. So
Right. And what do you do about individuals that find themselves in like the gotcha box, being that, okay, I thought I was going to go to college. Now I'm in debt. I thought I was going to get a credit card, maybe a couple of credit cards. It seemed so easy. I thought I was going to come up, but now instead I'm in debt. And I've just seemed to be getting bills on top of bills, on top of bills, next to bills, beside bills, and I don't know what to do. How do I get to the point where I can finally invest money and start, taking care of myself and my family?
yeah, yeah, that's great, and that's a great question. And really, within debt, we've seen, we help with people with debt every single day at the office. So basically, it's just getting the groundwork. So getting all the details, what credit cards you have, the interest, different things like that, and ultimately we decide we can see what benefits that you do have. And then ultimately, we just build a game plan around the debt so we could quickly pay off the debt as quickly as we can. And there's a lot of different strategies out there to eliminate the debt, but we could even do an approach where we could start eliminating the debt, but free up extra cash flow to start investing as well.
Hmm.
Or we could do a game plan around just knocking off the debt first and then going back to investing. it really just depends, but we really just try to prioritize, sorry, the game plan around the debt first, and then we seek the other options just so we could get everything going in the right direction.
And so, speaking of that, this is the last thing I'll probably have time to talk to you about on the call today. And thank you for being on the show. Um, the other side of all this is the credit, right?
Hmm.
So debt is one thing, your earnings, that's a different thing. Then there's this whole specter of credit, right? And so we
Hmm.
are living our lives trying to maintain these credit scores so that we can one day co-sign for a house or get a loan for a car for our kid or whatever we're trying to do. But it always comes down to Mr. Jones, Mr. Williams. Unfortunately, you've got a 580, and then 580 stops everything. Now, for Mr. Jones and Mr. Williams, they really can't do much. Uh, what would be your basic advice on how to manage credit so that a average Joe person can start to not feel like a slave or not feel trapped in this financial landscape that we live in?
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me again, Ace. I love talking to you as well. And as far as the credit goes, so basically it's basically just the game plan around the debt. So ultimately, if somebody has a bad credit score or they're just drowning in debt, well, we just have to really get you on your feet just so we could just utilize the best options for you. And
Hmm.
there's particularly a lot of different ways of how you can help with that because really the root of all debt is just the high interest. So you're basically paying off a lot of interest, and with these credit card companies, they just eat it up. But there's ways to kind of get around it so we could pay lower in interest and pay more towards the principal. And
Hmm.
then once we start wiping off some of the debt, you can use, honestly, we see a lot of people, they could take out a loan and wipe out their debt and then pay off a loan that's like lower interest. A lot of people tend to do different loopholes around that, which you can do that as well. But at the end of the day, we want to prioritize and show you the best option for you because somebody's debt could be 60,000 and compared to somebody with 20,000, and somebody could have 10 different credit cards and somebody could have only two. So ultimately, we would just prioritize just knocking off the high interest and knock off just really the debt in general, just so we could just build up extra cash flow. Then once you knock off the debt, then once you start making the payments, just pay off the debt just regularly, then we can help build the credit score go up and keep going up and going up. So
Sure.
you have better credit.
And I
Hmm.
understand that there are some people who, like on the Trump level, you might have $50 million in debt, but that still allows you to make investments that you can get, more money. You can still be way in debt, more in debt than the average person might be. Maybe you had a company that went under, and so all of that brought you to where you've got tremendous debt, but you've
Hmm.
got other options, right? And this is where they talk about your portfolio of all your things that you have invested in, or maybe you own some like Airbnb style property, so you're still making money even though you're in debt, right? You can do it like that,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, there's many people that we've encountered with that are still in debt, but they have a lot of good in cash flow. They have multiple different properties. It just really depends on what's happening in the economy today because the housing market could be doing phenomenally, and then you get extra revenue. But there's also times where you have a rental property and then nobody's renting out the Airbnb, or it's getting kind of slow. So there's really all shapes and sizes when it is coming around to debt. And there's sometimes it's good debt, and there's sometimes it's most of the cases really bad debt. But ultimately, a lot of people, some people that do have the good debt, they want to show some way or show something that they're paying off something just so they have a streamline of credit, or they're
Hmm.
actually paying something off like a mortgage. Um, but um, Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different shapes and sizes with that. So, but I know a lot of people don't like to pay debt because it's always in the back of your head, like you have to pay somebody back. So,
Right, right. And so surely nobody really enjoys that. But that's going to be a crucial part in you building your financial portfolio, right? If you've got debt and you haven't paid it, you haven't paid any part of it, you're literally keeping yourself in the rat race. That's what I'm hearing. But am I right or am I crazy talking?
I mean, I wouldn't say that necessarily because I mean, people could have debt small like a mortgage. So I mean, it's technically debt, but it's not bad debt because you're just paying off the house that you're living in. So
Hmm.
I would say as far as investing goes, like you could still have debt and invest too because you could do simultaneously at the same time and really get everything going in the right direction. So we could build the foundation of investing as well as tackle the debt as well because a lot of people might want to just knock off the debt and then go to investing, or might
Hmm.
some people might want to do two at once. It really just depends, and and you really have the decision of the route that you really want to go into. It just all starts with cash flow. So bet whatever you're making now, you have to really analyze that and best seek the extra cash flow just so we can get the ground running and going with everything. So everybody has debt. I even have debt. So it's just like, well, not
Right.
anymore,
That
but
part. Right. And so a lot of my hombres and listeners to the show are probably living in what we might call the paycheck to paycheck scenario. What would be your best advice for the escape from the paycheck to paycheck scenario?
yeah. So paycheck to paycheck, I totally understand that. So it basically means your cash flow is neutral. So what I would say is just analyze it. So honestly, get a consultation. Just seek all the best options that you can do because when you do get a consultation, it's really complimentary and it really just shows you all your ways and how you can knock it off, just to even scrape off really an extra $50, even if it's something as little as that.
Hmm.
So basically, just take a step back, really analyze what you're doing now, and separate the needs from the wants and what you really can afford and what you really need now versus the wants, because the wants will come later after you get everything going in the right direction now. But as you do get the needs or establish the needs, and then when you do start to get the extra cash flow, then ultimately we could start and using the extra money for something else that might be best fit for the money. So
See, and I think that's a great idea because I was in that trap. I'm in a lot of other new traps now, but that was a big trap for me. Was like, if I got money from a gig, the first thing I would think about is, okay, I've got this gig coming up. I'm going to make X dollars. And then I would mentally take a survey in my brain of like, okay, everything I can buy with that X dollars. I can get a new guitar, I can get some cable, I can get an amp, I could do this, 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 and this with these things. Then I would get the things. Then I don't have the money because I bought the things. And then give it time. Pretty soon I'm going to have to sell the things or pawn the things because I didn't invest the money wisely. I didn't do anything with the money that I had. And I have to keep working now to get another big chunk of money, which who knows when that's going to happen. So now I'm living behind the eight ball. I've got to worry about the regular bills that are happening, and all I did was buy these things, but these things don't generate money. So now I'm not only am I broke, but I'm miserable because I can only work. All I ever get to do is go to work, go to work, go to work, go to work. And to add injury to insult, when I come home, I'm looking at a room full of things that I don't even have time to enjoy because I have to work all the time. Damn!
it's like a loophole.
It is. It's a loophole that then you, to add injury to insult, you've got add a couple of bills to that, not a lot, but add a couple of bills to that, where now you've got people calling you going, "Hey man, you owe us $124. When you gonna pay us? We're gonna take you to court. We're gonna leave 15 messages on your machine and make you feel like a real criminal because you didn't pay this last electric bill when you moved out of your place." So now you just got that extra stress in addition to whatever other stresses are in your world. Um, but I like what you're saying. So you're saying, first off, come get a consultation, and you guys don't charge for a consultation, from what I'm understanding, right?
Yeah, correct. We don't charge anything for consultation. So basically, our first meeting will just be an introductory meeting, introduce ourselves, and
Hmm.
we, get a rough draft of everything that you have going on. And ultimately, in our next conversation, we will present you a current state versus the updated or future state, basically highlight everything that we could do to help you in greater detail. And then ultimately, at the end of that second conversation, you really have the decision if it really makes sense to work with each other or not. And if we were to work with each other, we'll never give you a homework assignment. We'll never tell you to do anything on your own. We'll just help you implement everything, track the progress, and make sure everything's still going according to plan as well.
Me likey the sound of that. Everything you said sounds like on point. We're going to help people get financially free around here. I think that's going to be our goal. We're going to help some people get their money right. So, if we want to stalk you on the internet, Jalen, what do we need to do to be your pleasant followers these days?
Okay. Great, it's great, and yeah, basically on social media, my name is Jalen Boone. You can look me up on LinkedIn, just JalenBoone, as well as on Instagram, Jalen, so JalenFCFA. That's my company. So we're Four Corners Financial Advisors. We're located here in Las Vegas, and as well as across the nation as well. We have a few different locations. So if you ever want to just shoot me a text, give me a call. This is my direct number, 702 And then just have a consultation or even just talk to me. Just say what's up. It really just depends. And that's how you could get in contact with me. Mainly LinkedIn, my number, or even Instagram as well. I don't really use Instagram that much, but that's really where I'm at. I just usually use my number a lot. So
Me likey. Jalen, thank you so much for being on the show today and helping us get our heads wrapped around what in the F are we going to do about this money situation. You guys check out Jalen's site. And you know what I say, man, and I still mean it. Live the life you love and love the life you live. Thank you.